Hi everyone, so I have a review and demo of the Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Foundation for you today. I do not have the actual product, I just got a sample at Sephora. I had thought about getting a sample because it was so light, and then I saw all the reviews about how terribly it wears on dry skin, so I was like, ugh, my skin is so dry right now, I'm not even gonna consider it. But then I'm like, you know, what the heck? I'm gonna get a sample, so if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and no bother to me, no bother to Sephora. It just scrap it as not working. But it's actually been working on my face. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply it, and then I will talk about it once I have it on. All right, so my skin tone is in MAC terms around NC5 to NC10, which kind of translates to the lightest foundations in most shade ranges are not light enough. And I have found undertone wise NARS Sheer Glow in Siberia is a good fit for me, but it's, you know, bordering on a tiny bit too dark. I also enjoy how Marc Jacobs Genius Gel Foundation in Ivory Light looks on my skin. If I add a little yellow to it, I can make the Kat Von D Lock-It Foundation in 41 work. I really like the formula of Lancome Teint Idole Ultra in 90N, but it is too dark for me. And I will insert swatches now, which includes a lot of these foundations. The Lock-It Foundation in L41, Wet n Wild Photo Focus in Porcelain, Marc Jacobs Genius Gel in Ivory Light, NARS Sheer Glow in Siberia, Fenty Beauty in shade 100, Lancome Teint Idole Ultra in 90N, Dermacol Makeup Cover in 208, Cover FX Natural Finish in N0, Model's Own Runway Matte Foundation in Porcelain. Okay, so I'm also going to zoom in so you can see how it's sitting on my skin. I find product tends to look especially bad right around here where I have kind of a line and more exaggerated pores, more noticeable pores, and then around my nose where I have the dermatitis. Though right now it's in pretty good shape, it's not flaking much lately, so you can see a little right there. Often I don't even get that close with any sort of product just because it always looks bad. You can see here how things kind of sit poorly. And the other spot I have problems with product sitting strangely is up here on my forehead. I did put primer up on my forehead right at this particular area. I also burned myself with the curling iron this morning, so I've got an extra funky little texture up there. But I think it's sitting okay, all things being equal. I have a lot of darker freckles right here because I have a cowlick that pulls my hair away, and so this has just gotten a lot more sun than probably the rest of my face, and that's why I'd like to have a good amount of foundation up there, but it just does not sit well. There's something weird about the texture up on my forehead there. Under my eyes, I think it looks a tiny bit dry, but not bad, all things being equal. So that's it. Normally I would also apply a setting spray, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and we can see how it looks after the setting spray. I'm using the e.l.f. I'm gonna get so close to my face. The e.l.f. Makeup Mist and Set. And I'm pretty generous with my setting spray. Normally I do setting spray after I would do blush and highlight, but I just wanted to show you just the straight foundation, how it looks after the setting spray. So this one in particular adds a good amount of kind of natural sheen back to the skin. And the two lightest colors I have in my collection are probably these two, the Kat Von D and the Model's Own. This Model's Own is seriously light. And the Fenty is right up there. I would say it's maybe third lightest or so, along with the Cover FX. So I haven't gotten a chance yet to wear the Dermacol, the Cover FX or Model's Own. You know, I just came to this realization that I really prefer how a lighter foundation looks on me, especially now that I'm wearing slightly more coverage for whatever reason. I still only like to, at most, medium coverage. I'm not trying to cover my freckles, and I just want to even out my skin tone, to lighten my face, to get it closer to my neck, which is very, very light. My hands, everything on my body, more or less, except for a few spots, are quite a bit lighter than my face. So if I'm going to be wearing foundation, I want it to be something that's closer to my neck so that everything kind of blends together, that it's not so much darker than my neck and my chest and my hands and etc. So that's kind of what I like to do. Currently, my skin is very dry. I do have a great combo of skincare products that seems to work great under foundation. I can get almost everything to work on my face now, even things that I had trouble working with while it was more oily, like the Kat Von D Lock-It Foundation. I have found that if I add just the right mixture of products, I can get that to wear nicely on my face all day. Otherwise, I've had issues with things like the Lancome just looking very dry on this part of my face throughout the day. It just kind of exaggerates the lines and the pores and that kind of thing. So that's a rather long-winded explanation of my face. So I had really been reluctant to try the Fenty foundation just because so many people said it looked awful on dry skin. And I think the Tayla had a lot of issues with it. Nikki Tutorials had a lot of issues with it. So I had thought about getting a sample, and then I said, no, why? It's gonna look terrible on my skin. But I decided to give it a try, and I really like it, and I am strongly considering purchasing it. I really might buy it just because the color is so nice. I like how it looks. I like how it wears. The only issue I've had is I think the two spots that I do get a little tiny bit of oil production right now is on my nose and my chin. By the way, normally my skin is much more oily in the T-zone and dry, normal to dry in a lot of different areas. I also have chronic dermatitis around my nose and underneath my lip. But because of this pregnancy, my skin has gotten really, really dry this winter. So it's, I'm layering a lot of moisturizing products on my face before I put any makeup on it. So I have the Olay Regenerist Regenerating Serum as my first layer, the Embryolisse La Creme Concentrate on all my areas except for that part of my nose, a little bit of my forehead, and a little bit of my chin where it's a little less dry. And then on top of that, I have the Peter Thomas Roth Max Sheer All Day Moisture SPF 30, which is a very moisturizing sunscreen. Sunscreen with lots of moisture. So my skin is pretty happy with that combo, and it seems like I can work with just about anything right now. So for wear, it doesn't seem to like get drier and drier throughout the day, which is what I was worried it would do. Once I set it with the setting spray, I don't use any powder, it's good to go. The only thing I would consider is powdering like the end of my nose and part of my chin where it can rub off throughout the day, get a little bit more oily. And the color is very light. I had heard a lot of things about, and I think they even say it gets darker as it dries down, which I think is true of the vast majority of foundations. Most of them do get a little darker once they're dry. Some don't, but that seems to be very rare. I find this one only gets just a hint darker, and you could sort of see on that neck swatch at first, I think it was slightly more obvious where it was, and then as it dried, it really kind of blended in a little bit better with my neck. So that swatch is right here. So I would say it is just a hair lighter than the part of my neck that has some color to it. Since this gets a little bit more sun, I do have a few freckles there. So I think that you can see it partially because it's hiding some of the freckles and it's a tiny bit light. But since I wear it, you could see in that kind of half face status, I wear it with a lighter coverage, so I'm not getting that full intensity of the pigment. I was surprised at how thin the texture is on this, and it's pretty runny. When I was trying to kind of scoop it out of the sample jar, I actually had it drip several times, got on several different pairs of pants, which is just like, when are you going to learn, Nicole? It's drippy. So it is very runny. It feels like it's not super packed with pigment, so I don't know how this would work building up to full coverage. It definitely does not seem like it's full coverage in any means straight out of the gate, which is fine for me because I'm not looking for that level of coverage, so I'm not looking to build it a ton. I just put a little bit more on places where I tend to get a little bit red. Sometimes that's my cheeks. My nose tends to be a little bit more red. Sometimes I try to get a little bit more up on my forehead where I have darker freckles. But mostly I'm just trying to even everything out, and I don't really need a ton of coverage for that, so it works out well. The undertone I feel like is kind of middle of the road, more on the neutral side than anything else. It's not very yellow or golden, it's not super pink, and it doesn't look really peach, but I think that's also because it's so light and doesn't dry down to a darker color. So I'm guessing it leans a little bit pinkish. I feel like some of the swatches I've seen looked more yellow to me. I don't know. I think maybe it's just really a neutral foundation. And unless there's a super strong undertone, I personally have a little bit of difficulty kind of nailing down where something lies on that. Like, is it neutral? Is it peach? Is it yellow? Is it pink? Unless it's a very noticeable undertone, and I think when you get to that very fair foundations, they're so light they don't have a ton of any sort of color to them because it's like so much white. But it's nothing like that kind of pinkish gray undertone that the Kat Von D has, which is kind of a peculiar undertone. I don't know. I'm sure there are people that have that kind of extremely porcelain skin where that works. On me alone, it can look a little strange. But I feel like this color, without mixing anything, looks very nice. So I think that's it. The rest of the products that I put on my face, the blush is the Wet n Wild Rosé Champagne blush. The highlight I used today is the J-Cat You Glow Girl Baked Highlighter in Bella Rose, which I picked up because of the Tela. And on my lips, I have Milani Matte Innocence. And I think that's it. On my eyes, I just have a couple of the transition shades from the Dare to Create palette from Morphe, which I just picked up from Ulta and just got in the mail yesterday. Same with that J-Cat highlighter. And I have the Wet n Wild Mega Liner in, what color is this? Dark brown as my liquid liner today. And I also use that J-Cat as my inner corner highlight. Anastasia Dip Brow in medium brown on my eyebrows, and Lancome Hypnose Drama on my eyelashes. I mean, how many things do you want to know about my face? Probably not that many. Let me know if you have any questions about the foundation, my skin tone, skin type, things that work for me, that don't work for me, etc. I would love to hear from you. If you have any other comments, if you have tried out the foundation, how it worked for you, what shade you are, what skin type you are, what foundations work for you, colors and formulas. If you could share all that information, if you are going to share your experience, that would be super helpful for everybody else, myself included. I love to hear from everybody just like the details of everything that works for them and what does or doesn't, just so we have kind of, you know, a good reference point for other skin types and skin tones and all that good stuff. So I am using a background today because I've just been kind of like, I feel like there's this vast emptiness with a bed that's slightly not in the middle, hanging out in the background of my videos, and I'm not really loving how that looks, trying to get it to look decent and failing. So I decided to pull out this background, which I bought a while ago, and I don't have like a light to put on there to help brighten it up a little, add a little dimension. So I apologize if it's looking a little dark and boring back there. I tried to wear a little bit more of an interesting, warm, bright colored shirt today to help offset the gray instead of wearing like a gray sweatshirt along with the gray background. But that's why I've got that going back there. And we'll see how this comes out and if I want to continue trying to use it or go a different way. We'll see. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions, comments, whatever. I've already asked this from you. I really want to know, apparently. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, all that stuff. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you soon.